Hey, good to have you guys here today. It's good to see you all here on this Sunday stream. Apologies about starting the stream a little later today. I had a doctor's appointment about my ankle, so everything's going well. So it's great to have you guys here on this Sunday stream. So yeah, we're actually out here at Flying Cloud Airport, just outside the Twin Cities of Minnesota, and we're doing a tour of Minneapolis and St. Paul today. Oh yeah, my ankle's fine. It's just a sprain. I the only thing, yeah, my ankle's just a sprain, super typhon. It's gonna be fine. So let's go over my flight plan for today. I'm on East USA server, by the way. The nearest airport is, well, KFCM. So let's go over the route for today's trip. So it's a bit of a modification from the previous one. So we're gonna take off from Flying Cloud Airport. Then we're gonna go to the nearby amusement park, Valley Fair, which is the main theme park of the Twin Cities area. Then from there, we'll be go across the Minnesota River, and we'll reach the Minnesota Zoo. Then from the zoo, we're going to cross back and to visit Mount Springs Park, the Old Cedar Avenue Bridge, going all the way down through the natural scenery. Then we're going to reach the Mall of America, one of the largest shopping mall here in the U.S. and one of the largest in the world. Then we'll be visiting Fort Snelling National Cemetery. Um, then from there, we'll be heading down to here. We'll be visiting the Northwest Airlines Museum, used to operate here out of the Twin Cities. Go across to back to Fort Snelling State Park. Check out the state park. Then make our first stop here at Minneapolis St. Paul International. Kilo Mike Sierra Papa. This is the main international airport of the Twin Cities here in Minnesota. And definitely a major hub for Delta. Then we're going to go back and visit the Sibley Historic Site, and then visit historic Fort Snelling. This is the place where Minneapolis was founded from that settlement. From there, we go across through here. Then we go straight over to downtown Minneapolis. We'll be visiting the Minnesota Orchestra, the Sculpture Garden, First Avenue, where Prince got his start, Target Center, and Target Field, home to the Timberwolves basketball team and the Minnesota Twins baseball team, respectively. We're going to take a bit of a detour here, and then we're going to be visiting one of the only handcrafted POI landmarks for the city, and that's Lowry Avenue Bridge. Then from there, we'll go back down the Mississippi River. We're going to be visiting Nicollet Island in the historic St. Anthony Falls. And then we're going to talk about one of the most historic places here, the Mill City Museum. This is where Minnesota got its famous name for Minneapolis, the Mill City. Then we're going to visit the Armory, and then it's not in the sim, but we're going to be visiting the site of U.S. Bank Stadium, the home of the Minnesota Vikings. Then we're going to visit the private Augsburg University, then go across the river and visit the largest university here in Minnesota, the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. This includes the Williams Arena, 3M Arena, home of their hockey program, and Huntington Bank Stadium, home of their football program. From there, we'll be visiting the Bell Museum. Then we're going to visit one of the great state fairs in the country, probably considered by many to be the best, the Minnesota State Fair. Then we're going to visit the first zoo here in Minneapolis, the Como Park Zoo. Head back this way, visit the University of St. Thomas, Allianz Field, home of the Minnesota United FC. Then we're going to visit the other part of the Twin Cities, St. Paul. So we'll be visiting the History Center of Minnesota, the Cathedral of St. Paul, the James J. Hill House. We'll be visiting the Science Museum of Minnesota, the Excel Energy Center, home of the Minnesota Wild NHL team. Then we're visiting quite a few other things in downtown. We're going to visit the Minnesota State Capitol, the Transportation Museum, Metropolitan State University, CHS Field. Then we're going to visit the Mounds Park, where they found the Indian Mounds, and finally make our final stop here at St. Paul downtown, aka Holman Field here in St. Paul. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty packed one. And all this is gonna be one flight, so it's going to be a pretty good one here today. Let me go ahead and get this down for a bit. Um, so we're gonna go down and fly the Top Runner Solo 103 for today. We're going through a lot of area. It's not so much distance we have to worry about, but really there's a lot of scenery. So, back in the air. But before we get going as well, let's go ahead and talk about the airport we're taking off here for today. This is Flying Cloud Airport. So this airport here, let me go ahead and get this loaded. The Flying Cloud Airport was opened all the way back in 1941 when the U.S. Navy was training pilots for World War II. And they train, and a lot of pilots from the U.S. Navy practiced their approaches here when they took off from Walt Chamberlain Field, which is now Minneapolis St. Paul International. After the war, Martinville sold it and sold it to American Aviation Incorporated, John Stuber, and he named it Flying Cloud Airport to reflect the local Indian lore of flying. It's currently a major reliever airport for the Minneapolis area, and it used to be one of the busiest airports in the central U.S. when it was there behind Chicago O'Hare at the time. But nowadays, it's mainly a reliever airport. And is restricted to aircraft around 60,000 pounds or less. Also, here's an interesting fact. Because it's right next to the theme park Valley Fair, a lot of the rides in the park are restricted by height regulations from the FAA. The airport covers around 543 acres of land with an elevation of 906 feet. It has 3 asphalt paved runways. The longest is runway 10 right, 28 left, which is around 5,000 feet. So that is a bit about Flying Cloud Airport. Are you flying the F-13 on Wednesday stream? No. It's too long for the F-13. That being said, I got myself a new plane. On Pilot stream, I'm going to show you off, but it's an epic twin-engine Cessna. I'm going to show off. It's a twin-engine Cessna. Engine start button. Okay. This thing going to the ramp. So yeah, I hope you guys have had a good weekend so far. I hope you guys have had a great weekend so far. For me, oh yeah, we know the 414. Yeah, I got her free on Pee-wee stream when the voucher. Yeah, I'm gonna be showing it off. But yeah, I've been flying the last couple days. The Cessna 414 is a beast. It's amazing. Also, in addition, I also won a €25 sim voucher, sim market voucher. So I spent it on a new airport, and it's Britain. So I bought the Britain airport scenery. So I bought the Britain Airport scenery from Drzezinski Design. So I'm actually, and I guess you guys know what I'm talking about, where I'm going to go for next Sunday stream. Yeah, we're visiting Seattle. And also because Seattle's where we're going to end up for the cruise, for departure. So I'll probably tour around Seattle. Yeah, it's great to have you guys here. Thank you so much for coming along on today's stream. I know I apologize for starting a little late, but you know, as long as I'm still around here to fly with you guys, it's always deeply appreciated. So yeah, it's great to have you guys here. So we're gonna follow around the map. So we're gonna go to our first destination. It's actually our theme park. We're gonna be heading to a theme park known as Valley Fair. It's actually one of the oldest rides in the entire Cedar Fair chain. In fact, it's a part of Cedar Fair. It opened back in 1976 and features 75 rides, including 8 roller coasters. It also has a water park known as Soap City. It is actually one of the first 2 parks of the Cedar Fair chain. The other one being Cedar Point. Like I said, because it's right next to the airport, a lot of the rides here face height restrictions. So yeah, something to keep in mind, and that's not the only park that has height restrictions. A lot of parks do, due to building zoning limits. So their tallest, fastest ride is the Steel Hypercoaster Wild Thing that was made in 1996. They made lots of other rides too, family rides and more. Another thing you have to worry about, because it's right next to the river, you do have flooding issues, especially as it was flooded quite a few times in the spring, most recently in 2019. So there is that. This is Valley Fair. Unfortunately, there's no photogrammetry, but this is what Valley Fair, if you moved all the buildings and all that. So this is the Valley Fair Park. As you can see, there's not much there, unfortunately. But man, yeah, we had some pretty crazy stuff going on in the past week. This is the banks of the Minnesota River, by the way. I don't have the slide for it, but the Minnesota River is around 332 miles long. It covers not just in Minnesota, but also parts of South Dakota and Iowa. It rises in southwest Minnesota on the Big Stone Lake. It goes through McConco and then into the Twin Cities. And there's lots of towns on the river. There's Bloomington, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and more have been on this river. So, we're going to be visiting the Minnesota Zoo next. So the Minnesota Zoo is accredited as a member of the AZA, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, located here in Apple Valley, Minnesota. It's one of the 2 state-supported zoos in the U.S. Yes, it's supported by the U.S. state. The other one being the North Carolina Zoo, which is located in, I believe, is in Asheboro. It was opened back in May 22nd, 1978. And it was revolutionary in a lot of its exhibit design, which meant it was actually one of the first zoos to organize an animal by its environment, instead of the environment by their species. Unlike other zoos in the U.S., the ones here in Minnesota are run by the state. Which means it charges admissions and memberships. It also is home to its own high school, the School of Environmental Studies, which is known for its partnership with the Minnesota Zoo. There's 6 themed areas within the zoo, and 3 themed walking trails, including the Medtronic Minnesota Trail, which features animals that are native here in Minnesota. There's quite a few of them. The Northern Trail, which features animals of the north, which is about 40 parallel. The Tropics Trail, from all the animals in the tropics, both from South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Discovery Bay, which is marine wildlife. Russia's Brisbane Coast, featuring animals from Russia's Far East, like Siberia and such. And the Wells Fargo Family Farm, which is about farming. They feature quite a few native species. There's over 2,351 animals and over 447 species you can find here at the zoo. So, that was some very interesting stuff here up in Minnesota. Yeah, definitely not going the right way. it's a beautiful day here in Minnesota. It's great to have you guys here. I hope I'm not boring you guys too much. I mean, I feel like that sometimes. So, I want to ask you guys, for your weekend, is there anything important you all did for the weekend? So, I just been preparing. I didn't just finish up the slides for not just this stream, but I completed the last slides for Wednesday's flight. Now, speaking of Wednesday's flight, since the LTM scenery, add-on scenery, keeps causing crashes, there's a specific area that I recommend landing to complete the achievements with it. So, I was thinking about actually completing the achievement beforehand and just fly our way to Azure Airport. So, that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, some add-on news. There's a couple of pretty major add-on news that just happened this past week. I know Merck already went through the 737-800 and the Visa Airport. He already went through a couple of these. So yeah, a couple of things. Number one, I saw the new update for November stuff. There was some big news at Gamescom, like I said earlier. The new city update was definitely very interesting, which featured some 5 of the German cities: Cologne, Bonn, Dusseldorf. I forgot the others. Oh, Hanover, Dortmund, Dusseldorf, Bonn, and Cologne. Then it came out with the new local legend, the F-13. I think it's actually one of the better local legends they've made. It's great. I like flying the F-13. I need more time with it. But I'm thinking I might use it for one of the future journeys for Firefly Air. Maybe on a new journey. Because it would just make a lot of sense to do it. It's a great little plane. It's got skis, floats. It's got the traditional engine and the replica, which is still being built now. It also has its own clipboard. It has a clipboard like, you know, some of the other third-party planes, which I think is really cool. And it adds a lot of immersion to this little plane. But yeah, I really enjoy flying the F-13. I definitely need to show it off the stream. But yeah, it's another great Yonkers for the hangar. That's for sure. But then the big news was they added more content to it. I mean, there was already lots of content for the November update. I saw it and I realized, I mean, they added tons of stuff. So they introduced 3 new planes, along with the ones we already got. First, the Curtiss J4 Jenny, a very popular plane of its era. JN Jenny is a major plane of its own era that was first introduced in 1915. Over 6,800 have been built, and it's a very popular civil aviation aircraft, especially after World War I. And those planes became extremely popular for a lot of the bomb stormers. So if you ever seen the old clips in the 1920s about people flying aircraft like crazy, there's a good chance you probably saw them in this plane. Then the next one, the Rum and Goose. And both of these planes are being built by AnyBuild, who are making that A310. So if it's anything as quality as that A310 is going to be in Sim, I think it's already going to be in a good direction. Yeah, we get another Rum and Goose, which is great. I don't have the big radio one, but the fact they're coming with a Goose, I think is fantastic. But here's the thing, the plane I'm most interested in flying. The most interesting plane we got to fly is the H-4 Hercules for Goose. Notice the Spruce Goose. If you've never seen the plane, Spruce Goose is absolutely massive. It's a huge plane. 8 engines, over 24,000 horsepower, a range of over 2,000 miles, its wingspan is larger than even most of the modern-day airlines. In fact, it is the longest wingspan of any aircraft ever flown until the Strato launch in 2019. That's right, this thing has a larger wingspan than planes like the Boeing 747, the A380. They didn't have a wingspan as big as this thing. It's huge. And in fact, a lot of people don't know this. Despite being named Spruce Goose, it was actually made of birch. So yeah, something a lot of people didn't know about. Pretty cool. Yeah, 321 foot wingspan. It's massive. Yeah, but I'm very excited this. In addition to this as well, they've also released 14 new airports, including Meeks Field. And yes, they're bringing back Meeks Field actually. 14 new airports, and this includes Meeks Field, which is absolutely awesome that we're getting Meeks Field back into Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, it says here in the Microsoft announcement, so they actually brought, actually not 14, 4 new private airports. They brought Meeks Field back, and they're finally adding 20 more missions from the past franchise. So yeah, lots of enormous moves. This is really big moves too. So yeah, very, very excited for the future of MSFS. If the H4 flies well, I'll fly the entire Red Sea. Oh yeah, that would be really cool. Just hoping you're not going to get that thing stuck, obviously. As if we don't need this to get stuck in the first place. Mr. 90, good to see you here. Great to see you. A couple other news. A couple major news as well. So first is Just Flight. They showed some more development for the Avro RJ, and apparently they actually said some things on their news about the differences between the 146 and the RJ. But the RJ ends up being a significant upgrade over the 146 actually, mainly in the flight deck, which is much more modern and digitalized. With more modern stuff. Not to mention the autopilot itself looks like more something of the 737 rather than other. It has its own custom coded FMS, radio panels, and more. It was more similar to a Boeing 737 than the traditional one we're used to. And I believe it even has its own autopilot too. So, yeah, that's for Just Flight. If you can add liveries to the H4, it's gonna be a big fat dick now. Yeah. I actually asked Cyrus and Kazooie if they can work on a livery for it when they develop in the future. So yeah, they need to work on a new livery when it comes out the H4. Then Gotthard has shown more previews for their PZL 104 Wiga from Poland. They also work on its own camping module. I mean, as well. Features Polish decals, factory avionics, and more. The 80 features more English stuff with no autopilot and all that. If you like the basic flying stuff, and they come out with multiple variants, 4 actually. The 35A, the 80, the 80H, and the Wilga EDP. So yeah, and it's realistic too. And considering they did a great job with the Discus, the the GB, and the Optica, I'm very high hopes about the Vilga. The Vilga is going to be absolutely great. So that's going to be great news. And finally, the last news from I read, two more news. First one is Parallel 42, with, I think, one of the most interesting mods I've ever seen for Microsoft Flight Sim. So they released the Camp Out. Now, I've seen OK and Duke show this off. Murph showed it off on Friday's stream. But basically, it allows simmers to camp anywhere in the world, and it can last for up to 7 days. But you have all sorts of camping options, like fireplace, tents, chairs, grates, like beer coolers, smoke, and all of that. And it can work with any aircraft in the game, anywhere in the world. Yes, you can even use airliners and still do it. In fact, you can even save the custom campouts per plane, so this would be really cool. And it's a huge immersion boost to MSFS. My only issue with this is it costs $25 US or 25 euros. That's my only issue with it. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible. If you're a bush flyer and love flying in the backcountry, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, love the bush flying. I think that might get me back into flying more backcountry stuff. And finally, the last news, Blacksburg released some more stuff of their King Air 350 steam gauge overhaul, which is to completely upgrade the King Air into a much more deeper plane with fully functioning circuit breakers and more. However, again, like I said, it's going to cost you a lot. How about $39 US? 39, but basically it is technically its own plane. I mean, that is my big gripe with that, is it's costing you $39 US. For that price, you could get the Kodiak, which is an amazing plane, for $38. You can get quite a few planes for that much money. Yeah, it's expensive. Oh yeah. Okay, that's all the news for since the last time I was online. So that's gonna cover our news. So thanks guys for tuning in. Yes, I do these on my own streams too, so you guys can catch up with all the stuff. So now let's talk about Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we're gonna be headed into Minneapolis today. So Minneapolis is the largest city. Minnesota is the county seat. However, it's not the capital. Nearby St. Paul, actually. The city itself has origins in timber and is known as the flower capital of the world. Prior to European settlement, it was inhabited by the Dakota people, and the settlement of Minneapolis was found along St. Anthony Falls. Currently, there's over 425,000 inhabitants in the city itself, making it the 46th most populous city in the U.S. It also has an extensive public park system, with many different parks all around the city as well. It's also known for its rich culture. It's home to the Guthrie Theater and the First Avenue nightclub, and it's home to 4 major sports teams. The Minnesota Twins baseball, Minnesota Timberwolves NBA, we have the Minnesota Wild, and the Minnesota Vikings, 4 major league teams as well. So that is a bit about the overview of Minneapolis. So Minneapolis' history comes from, it was the Sioux settled here, and they were the sole inhabitants of modern-day Minneapolis as well. So, during the events of the Revolutionary War, the Treaty of Paris gave the British territory east of the Mississippi to the U.S., and that included Minnesota, Eventually, the Louisiana Purchase came around, and the U.S. bought the territory of Louisiana. And in 1819, the U.S. Army built Fort Snelling, which we visited to join a lot of the Native American trade away from the British Canadian traders. The Florida attracted trader settlement and merchants and surrounding growth of the region. The U.S. government pressed the Dakota to sell more land, which they received in a series of treaties, and followed it. However, the terms were never really honored in any of these treaties. I mean, that's a lot of treaties when they talk about Native American history. Then, afterwards as well, while the Dakota tribe were being expelled, Franklin Steele laid claim to the east bank of St. Anthony's Falls, and they founded Minneapolis there. Eventually, in 1851, they lost their bid to move the capital from St. Paul, so St. Paul is now the capital here in Minnesota. But later on, Minneapolis quickly developed around St. Anthony Falls, which is the high waterfall here in Mississippi. And they especially built two major industries: lumber and milk and flour mills. Over 17 of the sawmills operate here in the forest, but mainly flour mills is there as well. Due to the occupational hazards of milling, in fact, artificial limbs, there are 6 companies that even manufacture artificial limbs. And the grain is transferred to over 34 flour mills in the entire city during this time. This included founding many companies, including Pillsbury and General Mills. However, the major issue with a lot of Minnesota was it had a lot of social issues. It's had a lot of social tensions and unrest here. This place is probably considered by many people the social tension capital of Minnesota. So obviously there was a lot of tension. After World War II, a lot of people flew to the suburbs, and it proceeded downtown Minneapolis is dying. Minneapolis demolished 40% of downtown and centric architecture. After the 1968 riots, more people remained rioting as well. Minnesota has continuously been rebuilt over this time period, and downtown's been revitalized. And then in 2020, Minneapolis was on the news again. You know about the George Floyd protests, right? So it happened when George Floyd was suffocated to death by Derek Chauvin for more than 9 minutes, and it sparked a lot of protests. And it sparked across the country. And the local protests resulted in the destruction of a lot of the state properties here in Minneapolis. Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting history for Minneapolis for sure. Well, there we go. That is going to be Minneapolis. There's the Old Cedar Avenue Bridge. But now we're getting into the Fort Gramsci area. So there's downtown Minneapolis to our left. And if we follow the river, we should see downtown St. Paul in this direction. So that's what gives the Twin Cities their unique identity. Yeah, it's a beautiful day out here for flying here. Yeah, I always enjoy flying these little planes. Let's perfect for these tours. So I hope you guys are enjoying the city tours for today. Like what you've seen, don't be afraid to smash the follow button. And once you do, don't be afraid to check out the Discord. All your support would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't followed, smash that follow button. You can definitely check it out. So here's Minneapolis International ahead of us, but we're actually going to go a little differently. We're going to take a little detour to the left. Yeah, you can definitely see there's a lot of parks in and around this area. That's not the real reason we're going to turn this direction. Well, we're going to actually visit a really cool place. Hey, Martel! Good to see you, my good friend. Martel172. great to have you here. I hope you're doing great. Thank you guys so much for coming along. But yeah, there's the big old Minneapolis airport. Pretty big. It's definitely the largest airport here in the upper Midwest. Let's see notifications. Let's see what. Tour of Italy in the Twin Otter. Yeah, we got a massive flight in Australia on Friday. DC-6, it's going to take 8 hours. Basically from Purple City. So, we get to our first landmark here in Minneapolis. I'm doing well. I had an ankle sprain on Wednesday. I've been trying to heal that off. But so far, I'm doing all right. It's getting better. So, right here, guys. So, this structure, this massive structure here, this entire complex here is actually a shopping mall. You've probably heard of the Mall of America. It is the largest shopping mall in the entire United States. In fact, it's the largest one here in North America. And it's the world's 9th largest shopping mall. It's managed by the 555 group. Over 40 million people visit the mall annually. 80% of those are from the Midwest states, including Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, the Dakotas, North and South Dakota, to be specific, Illinois, and Ohio. In addition to the mall itself, there are additional hotels, restaurants, and stores. In terms of size, there are 4 different floors on the east and south wings and 3 on the northwest wings. There is over 2.87 million square feet of space and floor area, plus 5.4 million more square feet as well, to be over 7 million square feet. And this mall's been around since, it's been around since 1992. In terms of shopping, this stadium gross area is 1.87 million square feet. It's big enough to fit 7 Yankee stadiums in there. Yes, you can put 7 Yankee stadiums in this mall. There's over 500 different stores on 3 levels of pedestrian. There's 4 different zones as well with each their own styles. It also features other attractions, including its own little aquarium and a theme park, Nickelodeon Universe. Finally, there's one last cool fact about Mall of America. It's located in the site of the Metropolitan Stadium, actually, which was the former home of the Minnesota Twins. And the Twins played there from '61 to 1970. But basically, this is where Harvey Kilgore hit his massive home run on June 3rd, 1967, at around 520 feet, and they still have the seat up there in the Nickelodeon Universe section. So yeah, this is the Mall of America. It's huge. It's a massive mall. I mean, if you're definitely visiting Minneapolis, you definitely want to check out the mall. I know it's weird to say you go check out the shop mall, but trust me, it's a massive thing. You don't see this very much. But yeah, guys, that is the shopping mall. Let's get back to the cockpit. Now, down below us to our right, this is where the Northwest Museum is operated. So right next to it is a national cemetery known as Fort Snelling National Cemetery. It's 430 acres, over 250,000 interments here in the grave. It's one of the 2 national cemeteries in the state. It's the oldest. And there's featuring there are quite a few people buried here. They include Medal of Honor recipient Donald E. Rudolph Sr. for his action in the Battle of Luzon during World War II. You have Captain Richard E. Fleming for his action here in Midway. Quite a few Medal of Honor recipients made their home here, but also other people are buried here. Johnny Blanchard is buried here, a well-known baseball player. Baseball announcer Bob Casey, former PA of the Twins from 1961 to 2005, was buried here. And finally, Corporal Charles W. Lindbergh, as he was one of the last surviving members of the Marines who raised the flag on the Iwo Jima. Very famous person. And then also John Marucci, the hockey coach, who helped make Minnesota a great power in hockey. That was some pretty famous people to be buried here in the cemetery. Back. So yeah, this is all Fort Snelling area. We are near the state park. So yeah, we have 2 stops. We're gonna stop here in Minneapolis, St. Paul International first, just for a quick landing. This is Fort Snelling State Park, where we're visiting here. So this state park is actually pretty cool. So this, the Fort Snelling State Park is very important for the Dakota people who consider to be considered the Earth at the time. It opened back in 1962 named after Fort Snelling. The bulk of the state park is a lot of the bottomland forest in the area. There's lots of forest as well, but also rivers, lakes, and more. 400,000 visitors have visited here as of 2005. It contains the restored Fort Snelling along with the visitor center, 18 miles of skiing trails for cross-country skiing, 18 miles of hiking trail, and 5 miles of biking trail. So yeah, there's quite a few major recreation stuff you can do. There's also an interpretation center featuring live exhibits that talk about the historic Fort Snelling area. Definitely very, very nice. It's definitely a really nice little state park. It is very beautiful here. Minnesota is definitely a great looking state as well. They call it the land of 10,000 lakes, mind you. Yeah. So we're going to make our first stop here at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, Kilo Mike Sierra Papa. It is the largest, it's not just the largest airport here in Minnesota, it's also the largest in the upper Midwest. In addition to being just a civil aviation, it was also used as a military airfield for the Minnesota Air National Guard and U.S. Air Force. It is the major hub for Delta Airlines, but also for the Minnesota-based Sun County Airlines. Delta and its regional affiliates account for 70% of the traffic here. It's been around since 1920, when it started as Speedway Field. Then it was renamed to Wool Chamberlain Field in 1923 after World War I pilots Curtis Wool and Chamberlain. And in 1944, it was renamed Minneapolis-St. Paul Metropolitan Airport, and it eventually became International 4 years later. And it's expanded quite a few times, most recent expansion being 2001. The airport has 2 terminals with 131 different gates. It also featured military facilities, and they fly all over the place here in Minnesota, Minneapolis-St. Paul. They fly all over the place. Of course, they do lots of flights here in the U.S., but Minneapolis-St. Paul also does international flights. The places include Tokyo, Seoul, Reykjavik, London, Paris, Frankfurt, and Amsterdam. So they do flights not just in the U.S., but they go international too. So definitely a very cool international airport. So if you do a lot of your flying here in the upper Midwest, this would be definitely a great place to check out. But yeah, I know someone who lives in Minnesota. My old school aide used to actually live here in Minnesota. She was my high school aide for high school. And basically, because of my special needs, I need to have an aide. So yeah, but she lives here in Minnesota. There we go. So welcome to Minneapolis St. Paul International. And you can definitely tell it's a big old airport. I mean, it's a big airport. Yeah, alright, so this is Minneapolis St. Paul International. So definitely very cool. It's a big. But in addition to just big old airliners, there's also cargo airlines make their home here. Amazon makes their home here. But mainly it's UPS. They fly to all around the country. Mainly they fly up to a lot of the Midwest destinations, like Chicago, Alexandria, International Falls, and they fly to Louisville, obviously. Yeah, they do lots of airports. The busiest domestic destinations are top 5 is Denver, Colorado, Phoenix, Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Chicago. Well, internationally, the busiest flights are actually to Cancun, Amsterdam, Calgary, Paris, and Reykjavik. So they do quite a few flights. Hey, Captain Spitfire, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, Captain Spitfire. You should have been there last week. I was flying the Firefighter Spitfire for that one. But definitely check out Captain Spitfire. I haven't seen one of your flights in a while. I think you're back on YouTube, but you can definitely check up on Captain Spitfire. The dude's a real pro with it. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who flies the Spitfire more than you. So definitely check him out. So yeah, this is Fort Snelling National Cemetery. There's the rest of the cemetery. Yeah, we're flying the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. We're just circling around from Minneapolis-St. Paul International, the largest airport here in the upper Midwest. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Minnesota is definitely a very underappreciated state here, and it's definitely a very. So now we're gonna head back this direction. Yeah, you can see all the massive gates around here. I know it's default scenery, but though if you guys want me to know which aircraft I'm gonna fly the most next updates, expect me to fly in sim. In the maybe I need to do a special Spruce Goose flight. Maybe do something from around the country. Maybe honor Howard Hughes' dream, New York to LA and Spruce Goose. That needs to get paid. Yeah. So from the airport, we're gonna actually visit the Sibley Hope Historic Site. This is Sibley. It was the site of Henry Harrison Sibley. He was a regional manager of the American Fur Company and the first governor in Minnesota. He's one of the 26 historical sites operated by the Minnesota Historical Society. The site contains 4 of his limestone buildings and a large mall, and 3 of them are open, including a fur company store that was part of John Baptiste Faribault's first settlement. His house is actually the oldest private residence here in Minnesota, built between 1835 and 1856 by a team of 100 laborers, both whites and Dakotas, made of limestone brick cut from the quarry. And he actually lived there for 8 years as a bachelor until he was married to Sarah Steele. He turned the business offer into a parlor, as well as built a kitchen, dining room, and 2 more floors. The house has been abandoned after he left, including the Artsburg Harwood, but then it became abandoned. Thankfully, they returned it back in 1910, restored by the state, and it's still here today. But there's also a couple other places as well. That could take a little while. The H4 flowing speed from 220 estimated. I don't think we're going to see the H. Unfortunately, we're not going to see the Hercules anytime soon. I don't think he's going to allow us. I don't think he's going to allow the H for Hercules, unfortunately. Though I think the Spirit of St. Louis is going to be fair game. I don't think DC-3 is a fair game. But I believe the Jenny and the Jenny Beaver and Spirit of St. Louis, those planes are fair game for the Cannonball. Those planes are very fair game when it comes to that. Because the Jenny can only go around 65 knots. Like, I mean, that's all fair game. My dinner's waiting. I'll be back shortly. Doing well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. Doing a little mix up with content over on YouTube. Ooh. Oh, you get to be. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I forgot. Your route's really cool planes. See all the time with Spitfires, dude. Like. When I get the opportunity around such, so I'll start to report over 5-minute videos in 1.5 weeks to turn over 50,000 views. So you can do real life content. Oh, that's awesome. Congrats, Captain Spitfire. That's awesome. Yeah, I would be so jealous getting near these aircraft. I would be so jealous. I mean, I got close to some aircraft during my trip as well. But I'll be flying over to Seattle in September. I wish that I could go visit the Museum of Flight. But good news is, if I get lucky enough, I'll be visiting the Delta Flight Museum in Atlanta. And I'll get close to an actual 747-400, which is the most popular 74 model. Yeah, I'm waiting for that. So we are going to Fort Snelling. This is the thing that got the territory started, is Fort Snelling itself. So this used to be a foreign military fortification. It's a U.S. national landmark. It was built back in 1819 for the U.S. Army. And there's some famous people that lived here. Dred Scott and Harriet Robert Scott lived here in the 1830s as slaves. And that led to the Dred Scott versus Sanford case. Funnily enough, it served primarily as a center for the government forces during the Dakota War of 1862. It was also where the encampment of eastern Dakota provided their transport from the removal of Minnesota. It served as a recruit station for the Civil War, Spanish American War, and both World Wars before being decommissioned in 1946. It fell to a state of disrepair, but it was restored back to its original appearance in 1965. It's actually its own unorganized territory at Fort Snelling, and there's now multiple government agencies that own portions of the site. So yeah, this is Fort Snelling. The NYP can make it non-stop, but the J is slow. So, yeah, this is Fort Snelling. This is the historic fort. Indeed, only last night was Duxford for fun evening. That got to see a Sally B. Oh, the B-17. Oh. Dude, I can't wait to see someone add a quality B-17. Like, I like the big birds. I like the big bombers. In a Polish Heritage Hangar Spitfire Mark 5B. Oh, that's awesome. I would love to get close to some historic planes. I'm hoping I can find some way to visit the Museum of Flight, because I know they got tons of historical planes. Like, they got these Concords, they got your Boeings, they got... Yeah. But I did visit the military museum in Dayton, which is the U.S. Air Force Museum. And that has an amazing collection of warfighters. From B-17s, you see a lot, can see all sorts of different ages. World War I, World War II, Cold War, fighter jets. Like, that's what I recommend going for the military stuff. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the old planes. Yeah, we're flying one of you seen parks. We have a hydroelectric dam located around this area. Yeah. Let's see who's around us. I know there's quite a few people, like Vector in the F-18. Nike fans here, stuff right. Just want to give you guys a bit of the exterior look. Flying here in Minnesota. Yeah, I like the Gold Ollies too. I like older planes. That's why I'm a big fan of the Junkers J-52 for that reason. So we're getting near to the Intercity Bridge that was constructed back in 1927 by James L. Hayward. It's one of the few monumental concrete rib arch bridges that span across here in the Mississippi River. That is the Intercity Bridge. It spans between Minneapolis and St. Paul. There is that bridge. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of older stuff too. So from here, we're going to be heading straight back to downtown. We're heading to downtown Minneapolis. So let's talk about some facts here about the state of Minnesota. So there's definitely some really cool facts about the state of Minnesota. The capital is St. Paul, obviously. That's what we're going to be talking about here today. In fact, it's the 12th largest state in the U.S. by size, with a length of just over 400 miles. It's the 21st most populous state in the country with 5.5 million people. The largest, obviously, most of it comes from the Minneapolis-St. Paul region, 3.5 million. In addition to Minneapolis and St. Paul, three more of the 5 largest cities are Rochester, Bloomington, which is the home of all of America, and Duluth, which is one of the major shipping points of Lake Superior. Now, its famous nickname is the Land of 10,000 Lakes. However, it actually has more than 10,000. There's actually 11,000 lakes in there. There's also 69,200 miles of rivers and streams. 680 of the 2,550 miles of the Mississippi River flow through Minnesota, and the world's largest freshwater lake is actually Lake Superior, which is where Minnesota's at. So, the state motto is L'Étoile du Nord, which is in French, Star of the North. There's also quite a few other anime Burger is a fanatic for old planes. Capone, the Capone CA-60. The Capone CA-60. Okay, 9 wings. It's 9 wings, 8 engines, 9 wings. It actually flew, but it crashed into the surface of the water and it broke. I'm surprised that thing even got off the ground. For the Dornier DOX. So here's downtown Minneapolis ahead of us. Yeah, a flying hotel that is. Yeah, it's crazy. Then again, weird things have happened. This is the Amos Cody House. This is going to be our first place we're going to be visiting. This house here is one of the historic homes here in Minneapolis, developed in 1884 in the East Lake style Lithuanian architecture. It's located here at 1700 Avenue South. It was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1984 for its architectural significance. As well. So there's definitely a beautiful house. And then we're going to get to one of the more interesting places here. The Minnesota Orchestra. So the Minnesota Orchestra is one of the concert halls here, located in London Street, Minneapolis. Home to the Minnesota Orchestra is a major landmark in the southern portion of the Hall. Hosts many events throughout the year, including the orchestra's home. There's over 2,000 people can actually be here in the auditorium. And one of the really cool facts about the orchestra hall is it's actually a second building separated for acoustic reasons. There's lots of things to improve the acoustics. There's also a large cube motif on the rear stage wall, and they're actually used for acoustic reasons, and actually turns out to be quite visually striking. And the reason they did this to increase the acoustics is to make everything sound better. Definitely a very important little lamp. Yeah, I was too high in the air, obviously. Yeah, here's downtown Minneapolis. There's the Minnesota Convention Center. This is the Convention Center here in Minnesota. We're going to do a lot of events here in Minneapolis. The downtown looks really good. Like a lot, that's one of the benefits of flying in the U.S. The photogrammetry in the U.S. and data is so much better than a lot of the European cities. Because you get such good data. We're actually going to visit one of the sculptures here. It's called Spoon Bridge in Cherry. It's one of the parts of the Minnesota Sculpture Garden. It's the most famous one. It was funded by a $500,000 donation from art collector Frederick Wiseman. It was designed by Claes Oliver and Korsich von Broden. It was installed in 1988. The Sculpture Garden's opening features a large turret resting top of a large spoon in a small pond as well. So, let's see if we can find sculpture somewhere. Oh, there's the sculpture. Unfortunately, it's not showing itself very well. Okay, it is showing, but nope. There's the sculpture. Or left. Yeah, photogrammetry can sometimes be hit and miss. Here in the sim. Ooh, I knew. You know, I like flying a lot of these places. Basilicas. Ah, there we go. Next is the Basilica of St. Mary. It's actually a pretty minor basilica, located in Hennepin Avenue. It was the first basilica to be established in the United States, funnily enough. It is actually the co-cathedral of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis. The foundation of this was built using Rockville granite, and the walls itself were made from white Vermont granite with a height of 70 feet as well. So some other interesting information about this as well. It features the interior itself. It features a lot of ornate glass as well. It was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1975. It replaced its old copper roof in 1991 to stop all the water damage it had. It also features a barrel vault of 82 feet, which actually is actually 2 feet higher than the one in St. Peter's in the Vatican. It's known for its choir, a 90-voice choir performing music on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. for the Mass. And they actually span a wide range of genres and cover many different centuries of church music. It's also famous for its own music festival, the Basilica Block Party, which is the hottest church party here in Minneapolis. So definitely a very cool little area here in Minnesota. Got the words. Sure. Yeah, I appreciate all the turnout you guys have done today. I know this is not usually the time I stream. I stream earlier than that. Appreciate all you guys showing up today and turning out. I really appreciate you guys have all been amazing. Even the people working in chat have been amazing too. Like every single one of you guys is breathing. So this area is kind of crowded. Well, let's start with the showcase camera's picture. So let's start with the first thing down here. First thing here is actually a nightclub. It's actually known as First Avenue. See here? So First Avenue it's also part of 7th Street Entry. They're two very important music venues here in Minnesota. They're both nationally recognized as a landmark building here. It was originally constructed in 1937 as the Minneapolis Depot Victoria Town Line bus system, and it was operated like that for 31 years. Then Alan Krieger Hunt purchased it in 1970. He turned it into a nightclub, but it really grew during the 1980s when it became a landmark for the music and entertainment industry here in Minnesota, establishing the 80s punk rock subgenre via the Minneapolis Sound, which was pioneered here in Minneapolis, but mainly is the primary local venue for Minneapolis' favorite music star, Prince. And if you guys don't know about Prince, he is considered by many to be one of the greatest musical talents of his generation, known for his persona and great vocal range. And since its rise in the 80s, it's hosted many local and national music acts, and it's been marked by nearly more than 400 large stars in its exterior, commemorating these performers and other figures in the city. As a result, it has a large cultural significance, both nationally and locally, and is only rivaled by a few other music clubs in the country. It was also featured in the Prince's film Purple Rain in 1984. So yeah, it's a very important music venue. For all you guys who love music, this is a very important music venue. Then right next to it is the Target Center. It's one of the two sports arenas named after Target. Yes, because Target was established here in Minneapolis. But this is the Target Center, actually. Now, the Target Center is the home of the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota Lynx of the WNBA. It's been opened in 1990 as a multi-purpose arena, hosting many family shows, concerts, sport events, and more. It is actually, in the NBA, it's the second oldest arena in the league behind Madison Square Garden. Yes, this is actually one of the oldest arenas in the league. It also hosted several neutral site hockey games. And of course, it's been very popular for lots of concerts, including Billy Joel, Celine Dion, Garth Brooks, Justin Bieber, and more have visited. And of course, Prince visited here too. Also, wrestling, gymnastics, and other events as well. That is the Target Center here in Minnesota. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of these two things. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this history lesson from the Two-Tone Murphy official researcher. And then we're going to, now this is a place that if you've ever seen my baseball series, it is on YouTube, mind you. Go ahead and give you a command for that. And also, yes guys, also check out the Discord as well. Definitely do those two things. So this ballpark here, it is Target Field. Yes, it's another Target named, Target sponsored stadium. Very nice. I appreciate. Thanks, guys. I just want to make sure you guys are enjoying it. The last thing I want is to put out a bad product for you guys. This baseball stadium is located in the historic warehouse district here in Minneapolis. It opened back in 2010 and has been the home park of the Minnesota Twins since its opening. It hosted the 2004 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. It's also home to other local and regional baseball events. And even though it's an open-air stadium, it's also hosted football and football. Oh, Angry One Horn just rated with a party of 11 viewers. Angry One Horn and his viewers, welcome. So guys, we're doing a tour of the Twin Cities here in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Paul, by the way. So that is what we're doing today. It is what we're doing here today. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's stream. Angry One Horns. Oh, my good friend Splasher6. Good to see you. Yeah, this is Target Field. Let me explain. So Target Field has been open since 2010, home of the Twins. 38,000 people can watch games here of the Twins. It's known for, there's quite a few unique features about this ballpark. I mean, for one, it used not just concrete, but it also used local limestone made from Kasota, which is in Minnesota. It featured a double-decking bullpen. It features quite a few statues, including Twins legends like Ken Herbeck, Ron Carew, Kirby Puckett, Marvin Kilburn, and the most recent Hall of Famer for the Minnesota Twins, Tony Oliva. Yes, I mentioned Oliva back in my baseball series, but yeah, he finally got in the Hall of Fame. About time. Also in center field, here's a really cool little feature here for Target Field. So let's go down. Let me go back to the front. Let me show you this. Hey, Dan 10, good to see you. First time in chat. Go Red Sox. Boo! Go Rays. Go Tampa Bay. Rays are #1. Yeah, let's fly over for old time's sake. Here is Target Field. By the way, do you see this down here? Well, this is actually a statue. This is actually a really cool logo. It's actually the large version of the original logo for the Twins, Minnie and Paul, which was designed by local artist Ray Barton. And it showed the two minor league teams that played in the Twin Cities before the Twins. And whenever the Twins score a run, the strobe lights trace from the bottom left corner. While home runs, the strobe lights all flash on them. But yeah, this is really cool. It's a really cool ballpark as well. I would love to visit Target Field in real life. It's definitely a beautiful ballpark. Seattle's my team, good and bad. Hey, the Bears are doing quite well this year, Angry. The M's are doing well. Julio Rodriguez is a beast, by the way. But guys, let me get a few shout-outs. I'm going to thank my good old friend, Angry Warlord. He also completed his around-the-world trip yesterday in the Youngers. He completed an around-the-world trip in the GU52. He did awesome. He flew around the world as well. And of course, Splasher6 was in the chat as well. My good friend Splasher6. You guys haven't checked out Splasher. He's one of my big long-time supporters of the channel. He's been around for nearly every one of my streams. But the dude makes some awesome flight sim content. He's nice. Really nice guy. He's very supportive. So guys, definitely check out Splasher6. He's an excellent friend on the channel. Just one awesome dude. So yeah, it's great to be here. So guys, we toured Minnesota. Let me go over the flight plan for today's trip. Let's go over what we went through today. So earlier today, before we got here, we took off here from Flying Cloud Airport. We visited the amusement park Valley Fair, the Minnesota Zoo. Across the Minnesota River, we visited the Mall of America, which is, well, the largest mall in North America. Then we visited Fort Snelling. The entire territory of Fort Snelling, including State Park, the National Cemetery, the fort itself. We toured a little bit of Minneapolis St. Paul Airport. Then we went across the Mississippi River. We visited quite a few landmarks, like the orchestra, the legendary First Avenue and Target Center. So for the rest of the flight, we'll be visiting Lowry Avenue Bridge, St. Anthony Falls, the Armory. We're going to visit the site of the U.S. Bank Stadium home of the Vikings, Oxford University. Then we visit the University of Minnesota's Twin Cities campus, the largest campus here. Minnesota State Fair, University of St. Thomas, Allianz Field, and then the entirety of St. Paul, the other part of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So yeah, we're visiting the Twin Cities of Minnesota today. I actually know this city quite well because I know someone who actually lives in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis. Oh. No problem, Splasher6. You've earned a shout out like that. You've been so huge for me. So now we're going to visit another landmark. In fact, this is actually one of the only two-way landmarks that's been handcrafted by Sobo. This is the Lowry Avenue Bridge. This bridge was completed back in 2012. In fact, it was constructed back in 2010 at the cost of $104 million. There's quite a few bridges that have been built in this area. This is the newest one. Its total length is 1,500 feet. It has a width of 107 feet. Its longest span is 450 feet. And apparently at night, it even flashes purple. I wonder if that's true in the sim. But we're going to visit the bridge. And yes, it's a handcrafted UI landmark. I mean, something we don't see too often here in a place like Minneapolis. Yeah, thank you guys so much. So, Angry, where did you go today, by the way? I bet you went something very fun and interesting. I know you've been flying a lot of the Western United States. And if you guys don't know, I really do like flying in the Western United States. It has tons of great scenery. So guys, if you like what you see here on this chat, do not be afraid to smash that follow button. And if you do, I have a Discord link. You guys can check out the Discord. I really recommend you guys following along, and because getting the content is really important. And I'm working towards 500. Dan1066, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for following. And like I said, thank you again, Angry One. This here is Lowry Avenue Bridge. But here's the bridge. Now the question remains. Let's see if the light shows up when you turn it to night. because that was the slideshow page. Oh my goodness, it does. Oh my. Oh, okay. Okay, that was interesting. So it does shine up. That's cool. Oh, that is definitely that's a very, very cool. That is cool. I'm not gonna lie, that's very good. Let's turn this back to the day so I can actually see where I'm flying. Well, let's go this time. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I do lots of these informational streams of the two-tone Murphy Expedition Researcher, so I research all of this sort of stuff before my flights. That way you guys can actually learn something from my streams. I hope it's not too much of an information overload. We're going to now fly over Nicollet Island, which is just north of St. Anthony Falls. It only has a land area of around 194,407 square meters. 144 people live here from a 12,000 census. It's known for its local high school, De La Salle High School. It also features its own inn, along with 30 multi-family residential buildings and 22 restored Victorian houses located in the northern end of the island. In addition to Nicollet Island, we're also going to be visiting the Hennepin Avenue Bridge, which is around 190 meters long in its span. It was officially known as the Father Louis Hennepin Bridge, named after the 17th century explorer Louis Hennepin, the first European to see St. Anthony Falls. And of course, we're going to be seeing St. Anthony Falls. This is what really helped build Minneapolis to become a major mill town as well. They built a lot of dams here, and the dams were used to support the milling industry that made Minneapolis such a major city of the Northwest. In fact, it's one of the only few, it's actually the largest waterfall in the entire Mississippi River, funnily enough. Actually, it's the only natural waterfall in the entire river. In fact, thanks to all the water coming from this mill, they powered a lot of the streams for the wheat mills. There's also quite a few blocks of dams here too. So here's Nicollet Island. There's the little island over here. One of the quite a few little islands here in Minneapolis. It's covered by trees. But of course, there is Nicollet Island. And now we get to St. Anthony Falls. There's the bridge. There it is, St. Anthony Falls. This is where it helped build Minnesota's lumber industry. And in front of us is the old Stone Arch Bridge that was built back in 1883. It used to be a major transport hub for rail, but it's now since been used for pedestrian and bicycle traffic. So that's what it is currently. Then there's also the Mill City Museum. So over here, around here is the old Mill City Museum. It would open back in 2003. It's known for being the Washburn A Mill. around this area. And this talks about the founding and growth of Minneapolis, particularly its big old wheat mill industry, and thanks to its hydropower. In 1991, New destroyed the whole Mill City complex, but thankfully it's been rebuilt since to stabilize the ruins and rebuild it. And it talks about the local history of Minnesota via its very important mills. So yeah, this was all part of one major mill making facilities. This is all one giant mill. Cool stuff. And then next to it is another one of the great theaters, the Guthrie Theater. Founded in 1963, it's one of the major performance production arts here in Minnesota. This current building was made in 2005-2006. It was designed by Jean Nouvel. They do a lot of they do lots of plays and theatrical shows here in the theater. There's the Guthrie Theater. So then we have the Minneapolis Armory. 8,400 people actually attend here. It's not just for music venues, but also events. It was built for the Minnesota National Guard back in 1935. But it was also most famous for being the home of the Minneapolis Lakers from 1947 to 1960. And before you ask, yes, this is where the LA Lakers came from, as the Minneapolis Lakers. It then was turned into a parking facility, but thankfully it was reopened back to its former glory as an event venue for Super Bowl 52, which was the Super Bowl held here in Minnesota. So here is the Armory building. Here is the Minneapolis facility. This is the old Armory building. Yeah, you can definitely tell there's quite a few of these stadiums around arenas around the lake. Unfortunately, I didn't download the U.S. Bank Stadium scenery because I didn't know if it was going to work or not. But this whole site here, well, it's actually home to probably the premier sports venue here in Minneapolis. And yes, I'm talking about U.S. Bank Stadium. The current home of the Minnesota Vikings. Unfortunately, I didn't download the scenery as well. But this is one of the state-of-the-art facilities in the National Football League. It's absolutely a fantastic facility as well. So this stadium opened around 2016. It opened back in 2016 as the home of the Minnesota Vikings. It's also home to early season games for the Minnesota Golden Gophers baseball team. Yes, baseball's played here too. Also hosted college basketball games, including Men's Final Four 2019. And it replaced the Metrodome. It was the first fixed-roof stadium to be built in the NFL since Ford Field in Detroit, which we visited last week. It had a cost of $1.06 billion. It features its design is relatively very unique with its glass facility to bring in natural light. It also features glass doors that open up the facility, and it gives fans a fantastic view of downtown Minneapolis. And in fact, it is the world's largest glass-based facility in the world. And this has been going on for a couple of years now. It's also hosted professional association football games, including Chelsea, the U.S. women's team, and Tottenham Hotspur have played here most recently. They also done tons of concerts here, including one for the Super Bowl as well. But yeah, it is one of the NFL's absolutely nicest facilities. Unfortunately, it's not really shown well in the sim, due to the fact I didn't know if the series was going to work. I didn't know the series was going to work because it hasn't been updated in 2 years. And besides, you guys are more than welcome to fly along in these city tours, by the way. Just take something low and slow. There's plenty of planes you can take low and slow. You can take the Capture Cub, Shock Ultra, Icon A5. Even third-party add-on planes are welcome here too. You guys are more than welcome to fly along with me on these city tours as well. So now we're visiting Augsburg University, founded in 1869 as affiliated with the Evangelical Church. It was opened as Augsburg Seminarium, but now it's known as Augsburg College and University. It employs 3,000 undergrad students and over 800 grads. It's known for its emphasis on service learning, volunteering, and it's an important part of the coursework here at the university. Yeah, this is Augsburg. There's Augsburg. Their sports team is known as the Aggies, the Eagle. And some of their notable alumni here at Augsburg include 2003 Nobel Prize winner Peter Ogre, former NBA player Devon George, and finally, four-time wrestling national champion Marcus Levasseur have been part of alumni here at Augsburg. And then we're going to visit Minnesota's largest university, the University of Minnesota, or known as the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. It has one of the largest campus bodies in the country, with 2,000 people. It was founded all the way back in 1851 as a public land-grant university. They're one of the members of the American Association of American Universities, with over $1.4 billion in research. The alumni have won over 26 Nobel Prizes, 3 Pulitzer Prizes, 25 Rhodes Scholars, and more. And of course, their professional sports teams are known as the Golden Gophers. They've won 29 national championships as the Golden Gophers, and they are members of the Big Ten Conference of Division I. And some very famous alumni. There's tons of famous alumni. They include Bob Dylan, the famous musician Bob Dylan, the 38th Vice President of the United States, Herbert Humphrey, the 42nd Vice President, Walter Mondale, and those are like the 3 most famous alumni, but there are other ones too. Of course, Minnesota is world famous for its athletics. Oh yeah, this is University of Minnesota, the Golden Gophers. Let's turn on the campus for a little bit. Yeah, this is the University of Minnesota. Alright guys, so now let's go over some of the things we can find here on the campus. So the first place on campus, we're going to visit 3 of the major sports facilities here at the University of Minnesota. So let's go over each of the 3 sport and campus stuff. We go at the showcase. Here it is. Okay. So let's go over each of the facilities, shall we? There are 3 major sporting facilities here at the University of Minnesota. So this one over here to the bottom right, that is Williams Arena, home of the Minnesota Golden Gophers basketball programs for both men's and women's. It came around in 1927, actually, making one of the older arenas in the Big Ten. The building is belovedly known by many fans as the Barn, and the whole student section here is called the Barnyard. It's actually the building's most famous for its arched roof, which gives an appearance of an aircraft hangar. In the arena seats over 14,000 people in between 1950 and 1971. It was the largest capacity of any arena in college basketball. But yeah, very historic venue as well. Then we get to the 3M Arena, home of the Minnesota Gophers ice hockey program. Yes, Minnesota is famous for hockey. And I know it seems weird to see how big the U.S. is important for hockey, but you gotta realize Minnesota is a national power when it comes to hockey. After all, Minnesota is known as the hockey state in the United States for a reason. They won 5 national championships for Minnesota ice hockey. It is around 10,000 seats here at the arena. It's hosted many prominent regional, national, and international competitions here in the arena. It's currently going through renovations, most recently in 2020. It's named after the famous ice hockey coach, John Marucci, the godfather of Minnesota hockey. And then the final sporting venue here in the University of Minnesota is Huntington Bank Stadium, opened back in 2009. It hosts 50,000 fans in a horseshoe configuration. It's been the home of the Minnesota Golden Gophers since 2009. It also used to be the temporary home of the Vikings used to play here at Huntington Bank Stadium when U.S. Bank Stadium was getting built for a couple of seasons. As well, in fact, it was the first new Big Ten stadium constructed at the time since Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. In addition to this, it also has seating and amenities, and it's currently thinking about going through expansion if it ever had the chance. And of course, it also hosted the Minnesota United FC for 2 seasons during its existence. Yeah, it's definitely a very nice collegiate stadium. You don't get very many brand new ones with bigger schools. Here's the campus arena. Here's Huntington Bank Stadium. At the time, it was TCF Bank Stadium. Yeah, Minnesota. Then we're going to point over the Bell Museum here. The Bell Museum is located here at the University of Minnesota. The new facility opened in St. Paul 2018. It is world renowned for its Minnesota wildlife dioramas, numerous animal specimens from around the world, and 120-seat planetarium theater are part of the new facility, with more than 4 million specimens. its scientific collection to provide research for teaching since its inception back in 1872. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I know you guys have a pretty big weekend going along. But you guys are always greatly appreciated to come by onto my streams. I mean, the Twin Cities of Minnesota definitely are very cool. But now we're going to talk about, I think, the biggest tradition here in the state. I think one of the Twin Cities' greatest traditions. Without question, it is the Minnesota State Fair. It is one of the biggest state fairs in the entire country. It's the largest in all the U.S. in average daily attendance. It's second in total attendance after the State Fair of Texas. It goes 12 days before and including Labor Day. Currently, the State Fair is currently on right now from August 25th to September 5th currently. It is world famous for a lot of its livestock, entertainment, cooking, and of course, many types of food, especially ones on a stick, because you know that's very popular here in Minnesota. The average attendance here, around 2 million people attend the Minnesota State Fair annually. With the highest daily attendance ever was September 1st, 2018, with 270,000 people visited the fair. And this fair has been around since, well, 1859. It's been around since 1859. It's famous for its livestock barn, which varies farm animals. Of course, its food. They include a lot of traditional foods like watermelon pickles, buffalo burgers, cheese curds, glazed ham and more, but they make some really crazy dishes. Lobster on a stick, alligator on a stick, deep fried candy bar on a stick. The 2006 was hot dish on a stick. They've come out with some crazy new foods. Stuffed pound rolls, chicken grits fritters, and more. And of course, they also have shows like concerts and other events. They have a milk. You trust me, the Mickey Fairs are a big thing here in Minnesota. So yeah, there's a lot of things, tons of entertainment, and much. Yeah, this is the Minnesota State Fair. Of course, there's music, temporary rides, and all that. So that is the Minnesota State Fair. Hey, Kingsman from the pool, good to see you. I'm doing quite well. I streamed a little later today because I had a doctor's appointment. But yeah, I got a very nice raid from Angry One Horn. And we're touring the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota. We're currently flying over on the Minnesota State Fair, one of the premier state fairs in the entire country. It's one of the great states. If you've never checked out state fairs, you definitely want to go check out Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's a big fair. I hope you're doing well yourself here. I hope you're doing well yourself. Yeah, we visited quite a few places today. We visited the Mall of America. We visited Target Field, Target Center. We got to visit quite a few other places at the University of Minnesota. So yeah, there was quite a few famous events we actually got to visit. I'm going to go ahead and refill the fuel button. I actually have enough fuel for the trip. So a couple of other, some famous notable people here from Minneapolis. There's a lot of them. Everyone knows Prince is from there. But he's not the only one as well. Director and member of the Monty Python comedy show, Terry Gilliam. The creator of Charlie Brown in the Peanut Gang, Charles M. Schultz from Minneapolis. In terms of businessmen, the founder of Target, George D. Lots of business people make their home here in Minneapolis. Lots of government people. Herbert Humphrey was vice president. And in terms of sports athletes, well, there's quite a few of them. Mainly linebacker Terrell Suggs, and of course, future NFL Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald. For some very famous people from around Minneapolis. So now we're going to go to the next slideshow. Well, St. Paul, Minnesota, actually. Let's talk about St. Paul for a bit. St. Paul is actually the capital of Minnesota, not Minneapolis. It's right next to it, that's why they call it the Twin Cities. It is one of the oldest cities here in Minnesota, and it has several major neighborhood landmarks and more. It has a population of 307,000 people, making it the 67th largest city in the country. The history of it goes back to the Indian burial mounds back 1,000 years ago. Then from the 17th century on, it was inhabited by the Dakota tribe. And then after the 1803 purchase of Louisiana, they established Fort Snelling. And that's been around for quite a long time. And then the Minnesota Territory was created in 1849. And eventually, St. Paul became the capital of this new territory. Then after its founding, steamboats made a pretty big difference here, making it a gateway to the Minnesota frontier or the Dakota Territory. And they also built a major railroad empire back in the old days, 1904, when industrialist James Jerome Hill founded his railroad empire, Great Northern Railway and the Northern Pacific Railway, with home headquarters here until they merged with Burlington Northern. There are several major tornadoes that happened during 1904 that caused damage to buildings. And then with urban renewal, they created new things for the interstate system. And then, currently nowadays, St. Paul's quickly built itself back up again. So that is a bit about the history of St. Paul. And now we're going to head to the University of St. Thomas, known as the Tommies. This is a private Catholic university here in St. Paul, Minneapolis, founded in 1885. Named after Thomas Aquinas. The university enrolls nearly 9,347 students, making it Minnesota's largest private university, private nonprofit university. It was founded by John Ireland. It originally began as an all-male school, but then it became co-ed back in the latter half of the 20th century. Its sports teams were known as the Tommies. But here's the funny thing. Despite being a small private university in Minnesota, they actually compete in Division I athletics. Yes, a Division I program. And that's because they were actually kicked out of its former conference for being too good. They play in Division I sports, somewhere enough. They're especially dominant with their football program, as they've won 21 conference championships during their time. But yeah, that is St. Thomas University. Should be seeing the there's St. Thomas down over here. There's the University of St. Thomas. And you see that airfield down here? That airfield is Pullman Field. This is that will be our final stop for today. yeah, it's beautiful today. Today's a beautiful day. I appreciate all you guys here. Angry Warhorn, if you're still in the chat, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you so much for the raid. Yeah, greatly appreciate it. So here is the University of St. Thomas. So my plans is that after stream, I'll be doing quite a few contracts on Sky Park. Just getting more skill with the airliners. I hope to do an airliner series at some point. And then for plans, finish up the Orient Express trip on Wednesday. We're going to fly to Istanbul. We complete the trip. And then on Sunday, I'm planning on doing a city tour of Seattle, Washington. On Sunday. I got the Renton Airport scenery, so you guys can 737 flying. I'm not gonna fly a 737 just straight to Seattle, but we are gonna tour the Renton factory. By the way, I have the scenery for it, so we'll actually return off the Seattle metropolitan area. So we're gonna be touring Tacoma and Seattle. We're gonna go from Tacoma to Seattle to Everett, and that would be our tour on Sunday. It's going to be a big old city tour of Seattle. Oh yeah, we're going to have some really fun flying. Hey, Sergeant Staff! Shout out for Sergeant Staff. I hope you're doing well, my friend. We're touring the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota. So we're currently here. Here's the site. Now this area here is actually the site of Minnesota's newest stadium, Allianz Field, home of the Minnesota United FC of MLS, Major League Soccer, or America's Association Football League, designed by Populous. It exceeds 19,400 fans, and it is known for its standing terrace for 2,920 supporters, named the Wonder Wheel, after its the club's unofficial anthem, located within South End of its goal. So, been better, been worse. Oh, no worries, like I said. Doesn't matter how you feel, you're always welcome to the stream. But yeah, this is St. Paul, Minnesota. This is downtown. Of course, we're going to make our final stop here in Poland. So yeah, but it's great to have you guys here. Thank you so much for coming here today. Let's see. Beautiful area. I would love to visit Minnesota in real life. Hey, Martel, you're back. I hope your dinner was great, Martel. So yeah, we're about to enter St. Paul. First, we're going to visit the Minnesota History Center, which is a library containing the headquarters of the Historical Society here in Minnesota. Over 1 million artifacts, including archaeological objects, books, photographs, and more, will be featured here in the museum, and it's one of Minnesota's finest public buildings. But of course, I think here's probably the most famous building in this entire city, and that's the Cathedral of St. Paul. It was consecrated in 1958. It was built between 1906 and 1915, 9 years. It is one of the most distinctly looking cathedrals in the entire country. Gopher's distinct copper-clad dome is dedicated to Paul the Apostle, which is the namesake of St. Paul. It is the third largest Catholic cathedral and the sixth largest church in the United States. Yes, this is a very large church, especially all things considered in the United States. The dome is 76 feet in diameter and 186 feet high. It has warm-color paint and gold leaf for accurate renovation in the 50s. The exterior walls are made of rock-filled granite from St. Cloud, which is the largest city in central Minnesota. While the interior walls are made from travertine, which is made here also from Minnesota. It also features 4 statues of Evangelicus, sculpted by John Angel himself throughout the 4 corners of the church. So a very historic. I've been in Minneapolis. It's nuts. Yeah, Minneapolis is pretty cool. I know someone starting staff that's from Minnesota. My old school lady from high school for my special needs, she's actually from Minnesota herself. Yeah, I would love this. So here is the Cathedral of St. Paul. Oh yeah, it looks awesome. Yeah, it's awesome cathedral. Yeah, awesome looking. So yeah, there's the Cathedral of St. Paul, one of the largest Catholic basilicas in the country. I mean, it needs to be this large because it is St. Paul. Here's the cathedral. Yeah, my brother's college roommate was from Bloomington. Yeah. If you get your Bloomington Sergeant staff, we toured over the Mall of America earlier. The next place we're visiting, we actually just flew over it, but this is the James J. Hill House. It's built by the railroad magnate James J. Hill, who built a massive railroad empire here in St. Paul. It was right next. It's next to the Cathedral of St. Paul, and it was very large for its time. And it was the showpiece of St. Paul until his death in 1916. Thankfully, they still kept it around. It has over 36,000 square feet of space, living area inside the house, and 44,000 square feet of total space within the house. It's a major Minnesota landmark. So yeah. The interior itself contains his whole gallery collection of paint and sculpture. It even had a pipe organ in there, funnily enough. The house had a hybrid system of gas and electric lighting, rotary switches in the wall, and the woodwork here is very intricate. Hand carved woodcraft in the hallway piece. There's also a formal dining room and a music room too. So after his death, his children moved out of the house. 4 of the daughters actually purchased the house and donated to the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of St. Paul, and spent the next 53 years as space for offices, residence, and a teacher's college until they did it as a museum. And it's now been fully restored back to its former glory, and it's open for tours. You can tour around this famous house. It's pretty cool stuff. And a bit of background about James J. Hill. He actually was born in Canada. He was a Canadian-American railroad director. He was the chief executive officer of the Great Northern Railway, which ran from St. Paul to Seattle in the 19th century, and built the other Midwest area, Great Plains, the Pacific Northwest. But because of the size of the region, he became known as the Empire Builder during his time. He had a massive empire legacy for railroads. He's also known as a conservationist, philanthropist, and more. It's definitely a very interesting guy to actually get to know more about. So, then we have Harriet Island below us. Is Harriet Island. Here's Harriet Island. The view of downtown Minneapolis. Not Minneapolis, St. Paul, actually. Yeah, very beautiful area. The next building here is the Science Museum of Minnesota, founded in 1907 as a nonprofit industry. Okay, Sergeant Staff says, catch you later. No worries, Sergeant Staff. Thank you for coming by today. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming by. So here's the Science Museum of Minneapolis below us. It is staffed by over 300 employees and supported by hundreds of volunteers. In the early 2000s, this museum hosted several major exhibits that drew in hundreds of thousands of visitors to the museum. And here it is. The museum below us. Next to it is the Excel Energy Center, the X, as we know it. It is the home of the Minnesota Wild of the NHL since 2000. It has a capacity of 17,954 fans. And the concourse areas contain hockey jerseys from every single Minnesota high school. Because, you know, Minnesota is the U.S. state of hockey. And yes, I actually mean it because Minnesota is a massive, massive hockey city. People in Minneapolis love their hockey. Love their hockey. Especially ice hockey. Then we got a couple more places. We have actually. Oh. But here is the Minnesota State Capitol. We'll go ahead and pause this. So this here is the Minnesota State Capitol. It was built as a seat of the government of the U.S. state of Minnesota. The Minnesota State Capitol was described as a beaux arts, modern term not in use when the Capitol was built, but a style made popular by the architecture of the Chicago World Exhibition in 1893. The Capitol itself is actually three buildings. It was built between 1896 and 1905 by architect Cass Gilbert. It houses the Minnesota Senate, House of Representatives, Attorney General, and Office of Governor. There have been three Capitol buildings before this, but this is the most present building. The Capitol is more than 430 feet long, from ground level to top. It is around 220 meters inside, and the building has more than 300,000 square feet of space and around 5 million cubic feet of space per cubic. Its dome is actually the second largest self-supported marble dome in the world. Only behind St. Peter's Basilica. Yes, this thing is self-supported. Its dome is self-supported, and it's second only to St. Peter's Cathedral here in the Vatican. In addition to this as well, the dome itself is made with 3 domes of layers. One was made from Georgia marble. More. And they actually use it has also featured 60 artwork that's worth a total of $300,000, and it features all sorts of lavish rooms. Well, including the governor's reception room, which is the most lavish decorated building in the entire Capitol building. And that was inspired by Gilbert's vacation here in Europe. All the lavish buildings in all of Europe. And of course, there's lots of translucent glass stars and more. It's all part of the Capitol Mall as well. So that is a bit about Minnesota State Capitol here in St. Paul. Go ahead. So yeah, we're about done with the flight, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming along on today's stream. We have a going to head now to Metropolitan University. There is one more PY landmark, and that is CHS Field. It's home to the St. Paul Saints of the International League of Minor League Baseball, MILB. Sorry I was late, but really enjoyed it, Viper. Oh, thank you so much, Kingsman. I'm glad that you're enjoying this. It's also home to the Hamline University baseball team. With the Saints affiliation for the 2001, it became not only the smallest AAA minor league stadium in the minor leagues, it is actually the closest team to its affiliate in the entire league. Only 12 miles across the service streets in I-94 to its tenant's parent club, the Minnesota Twins. So literally, it is right next to each other. They're basically the Twins in the St. Paul Saints complex, right next to each other. Which means it's great that you cut on travel costs. Because you're so close to your parent club. There's St. Paul Holman's Field. Yeah. And the St. Paul Saints, for those who don't know, they're well known for their wacky traditions and promotions and all that. Currently, as of now, the ballpark was originally still being built. There's CHS Field being built. Then we're going to visit the Indian Mounds Park. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about the last and final stop, Pullman Field, actually. So Pullman Field, known as St. Paul Downtown Airport, Kilo Sierra Tango Papa. It's known as Pullman Field. It is one of several airports in the Twin Cities. Mainly, it's currently now being used mostly for GE business. This airport has actually got a pretty history. For one, Pullman Field has been around since, well, the airport itself has been around for decades. At least it's been around since the 1930s. And it was named after Charles W. Speed Pullman, who was a very famous stunt pilot, barnstormer, and more. He was born actually nearby Bloomington, in Bloomington, Minnesota. And he was actually a pilot hired by Northwest Airways in 1926. However, he passed away in an accident in 1931 in Omaha at the age of 32. He once set world record for 1,433 consecutive moves in the airplanes in 5 hours. And that's why he got the name Pullman Field. During World War II, Northwest Airlines employed 5,000 people at the site, mainly to modify the B-24 liberators. Some of them released the highly classified H-2X radar. Used for blind bombing, proved invaluable in the European theater. The terminal was used as a backdrop for the 1917 film Slaughterhouse 5. During the 70s and 80s, Commuter Airlines Lake State Airways offered service between St. Paul and Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was a 5-way ticket for a round trip between the two cities. There's 3 asphalt paved runways. The longest is 14.320 at 6,500 feet, followed by the smallest one being 4,000 feet, reaching 1331. Finally, 9,270 at 3,642 feet. And most of it is general aviation qualified, military and air taxi. So yeah, that is it. That is Pullman Field in St. Paul. We're going to go ahead and descend. And we're going to land on the runway. So guys, thank you so much. That wraps up our tour of Minneapolis and St. Paul today. Quite a long tour. We are going to land on runway 14. So we're going to make the landing, and we're gonna find parking. Okay, we're down. Nice. Now we're just gonna find somewhere to park. So wow, thank you guys so much for coming on today's stream. Do you teach Viper? No, I don't teach, unfortunately. But I want to teach you guys, though. I want to teach you guys all these places. That way, you can come away and learn something more impressive. I mean, I am the flying historian. So always catch on our streams. You might be surprised that I may have to teach you a few things as well. So yeah, expect to finish the Orient Express trip on Wednesday. And don't worry, guys, for all those in the Orient Express, I have a solution to solve the airport issue. I've actually scouted out the Istanbul airport area and found a really cool place we can land that will still count for the achievement. We're going to go. Thanks for taking us on a trip to Minneapolis, St. Paul. No worries. You're all more welcome. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and park. Okay, park, turn off the battery, and we, oh, okay. So guys, we did it. We're in Holman Field, guys, just outside of St. Paul. So guys, thank you so much on today's trip. I really appreciate all you guys here. So Wednesday, we'll be finishing up the Orient Express. We're heading to Istanbul in Turkey from Bucharest. This is actually going to be a long one, and expect me to take the Cessna 414 on for a spin. And then Sunday, we'll be doing a city tour of Seattle, Washington. We're going to visit from Tacoma, Seattle, and Everett for this trip, so it's going to be really excellent. Thank you guys so much. Now we're going to find someone to raid. Let's see who we can find. I think we are going to raid. I think we're going to raid Oh Can Do, actually. Let's raid Oh Can Do. I think you guys will want to check him out. Now, for guys who don't know, Oh Can Do is he is an amazing streamer. He makes some absolutely fun streams, and he's a bush pilot. And you know me, I love the bush stuff. I love flying at GA. So, guys, check out his stream. Hey, Dryson, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming. Guys, take care, everyone, and see you all later on Wednesday. Bye, guys. Take care, everyone.